On September 21, posters with the tagline PayCM 40% accepted here with Karnataka CM Baswaraj Bommai's face inserted into a QR code were splashed across Bengaluru city on compound walls, transformers, and bus shelters. The QR code, when scanned, led users to a website called 40percentsarkar.com created by the Congress to encourage citizens to report corruption. But hours after the Congress went around the town putting up the posters, the Bengaluru City Police, in a late night operation, took custody of 2 Congress social media members and 2 others later. On the other hand, Congress reacted strongly after his social media team members were picked up for questioning. Both Siddaramaiah and DK Shivakumar said that they would defy the government and continue to put up the posters in the town. The New Indian Express speaks to Political Analyst BS Murthy to get more insight on this issue.
Hello and welcome to the talk room. I'm Bansi Kadapa. With me is Political Analyst Mr. BS Murthy. Well, first of all, we saw the police cracking down on Congress's social media group. In fact, the leader of that group, the former chairman of that group, was picked up from his residence in Vasantnagar at about 2 a.m. early this morning. Another person associated with the social media group was picked up from his residence in KR Puram and brought to Sadashivanagar. Now, since the police picked them up, the families panicked and there was no brief to the families as to why they are being picked up at that unearthly hour, because both of them were asleep. So since the police picked them up and brought them to the station, the Congress social media put out a message at about 2:14 a.m. early this morning saying, "Media, please come to High Grounds police station. We need your cooperation. We need your help." It was almost, in the terms of an SOS. So first of all, Mr. Murthy, this kind of police action for a poster that Congress social media has put up to highlight a certain issue, how do you really look at this?
Firstly, I think the creative communication that Congress put out against the 40% part of the bribery has surely rattled the Chief Minister, perhaps, Chief Minister. And this is possibly the first time that we see the Bangalore cops going after the messenger at 2 o'clock in the night, tapping their doors and getting them back to the station. So when the actual allegation of 40% was done by the Contractors Association, the government didn't act. Neither they filed an FIR on them, people who actually made the allegation. But what the Mr. B.R. Naidu of the Social Media Congress did was to basically just amplify the message. These are just people who are taking the message to the public. So it is surprising that even Bangalore police obliged to do this work when actually the session is in progress, which very clearly they would know that the next day the opposition with Mr. DKS and Mr. Siddaramaiah would raise the issue in the House. But it is quite a rare moment that we have not seen Bangalore police go after people who put up posters right in the middle of the night, scaring families, scaring them. And no wonder it prompted the Congress functionaries to appeal to the media just in case if there is anything else happening. Maybe people are booked under UFPA, people are booked under various other draconian laws. I think this really panicked the party and they appealed the media for the support. I'm not surprised with that because it's the first of its kind which I have seen in the last few years. You don't pick up people who put up posters in the middle of the night. When did that last happen? It never happened.
Okay, now if we look at the Congress reaction, senior Congress leaders, Mr. DK Shivakumar visited High Grounds police station. Mr. Siddaramaiah, in a series of tweets, has said he will himself go and put up posters. Mr. DK Shivakumar has said all the Congress legislators will go and put up these posters, and they virtually challenged the government saying, "What will you do to us?" So how do you look at this? Is the government really falling into the trap of the Congress because these corruption allegations are being made by the Congress only after the Contractors Association has first made it, written a letter to the Prime Minister. There has been no substantial action on it, and the Congress is only following up on that. How do you really look at this?
I think, in my view, the current CM is amplifying every effort of Congress to take the message to the people. This was virtually a non-issue. Somebody putting up a poster, very creative work of poster, I would say. It could have just been ignored, but instead of that, I think going after these messengers, now you can't stop the Congress leaders tomorrow if they come out with a placard saying with the same QR code. How can the government arrest all of them? Tomorrow there would be thousands of Congress volunteers in malls, in all public places, and everywhere. What would the government do? So they have shot themselves in the foot, saying that what could have been a reasonably small issue with ongoing legislation, there are always an opposition voice. It comes in the form of print, it comes in the form of posters. Even BJP does that when they were in opposition. But then this action of Bombay government on these people have actually amplified it to such an extent that the entire full marks have gone to the Congress. They got much bigger coverage than what they have actually hoped for.
Well, the most moving point in all this is that, in the standoff, between the two parties, between Congress and the Bharatiya Janata Party over this issue of corruption, neither side is really clean, because Congress has its own skeletons in its cupboard. BJP, the Bharatiya Janata Party, has its own skeletons in its cupboard, and both of them trying to outdo each other in this. How do you really look at this in the run-up to the 23 polls?
I think in a larger context, it looks like a tutu meme contest, typically where there is an allegation on both the sides, but then generally in these circumstances, the government in power is always caught on the wrong foot. Simply because when the government in power can't make an allegation, you need to go with an action. The opposition makes an allegation, the sitting government always has to go with an action, whatever is possible under the legal framework, which looks like, even with all the allegations against the Congress, but Saraj Bhumra government has not moved an inch in terms of making any kind of either an investigation or a judicial inquiry or even a plain simple FIR for that matter. I think in that context, this is the first time possibly in the last few years I've seen a CM who is practically out of mojo and always been reactive now compared to the previous, all the chief ministers who have been proactive. They would basically understand what is coming up. Looks like here there is a clueless scenario where the CM is holding the baby and then left only to respond. And all his responses have not been much actionable. So there has been no visible action in the last few months against the allegations made by the BJP ministers themselves. And day in and day out, there seems to be a new scandal coming out, which virtually has made the CM's position vulnerable.
Well, there it is. In the run-up to the 23 polls, how will all this pan out? These are questions for us. Thank you for joining us on the talk.
Thank you, sir.